What's up, guys? Kyle Blanford with HypertroFit and PectusWarriors.com. Today we're covering how to train after the Nuss procedure. So we're going to discuss the limitations that are involved immediately post-op, the exercises that you should be focused on, and how much time it's going to take you to get back into the gym at full strength. So the first thing we're going to cover is what is actually involved in this post-op training period and what to really expect. So after you go through surgery, you will have these lovely guys in your chest. So I had 2 titanium bars, which these are my actual bars, in my chest. And after surgery, we want to give these things time to settle. So obviously they're supporting the chest wall, and they are sutured in on the side. So you also have these stabilizers, which are used on the side here to kind of plant into the side of your rib cage. And that's all sutured into you. So while these things should be rock solid, there is a period of time that we want to avoid any sort of strenuous activity, even picking up more than 5 pounds at a time, so that we don't cause these to flip. That's the last thing we'd want to have happen. So everything that I'm about to talk about here is what's been taught to me. I am obviously not a doctor, but when I went through this process myself, these are the instructions that were imparted upon me. And they've served me very, very well. And they've served numerous other people that I've seen go through this process very well. It's important to be patient. And the 3 months following the Nuss procedure are when you're going to be very limited in what you can do. So we're not going to be able to do any sort of weightlifting. Really any more than 5 pounds is totally off limits. And there's also going to be no twisting or bending of the trunk for the first 6 weeks, and absolutely no contact sports for the first 12 weeks. And if you're playing football or rugby, that's a minimum of 6 months. Because again, we need these bars to stabilize, we need bone to start ossifying and building up around it, and basically allow it to become a part of the rib cage itself. So with all of that in mind, you might be thinking, well, for those first 3 months, there's probably nothing that I can do. And that couldn't be further from the truth. So while those limitations do exist, within the first 3 months, exercise is actually going to be a very important piece. And the first thing that you're going to start doing is walking. And you want to try to walk at least 3 times per day for a minimum of 5 minutes at a time. And there's a few reasons for this. The movement can help avoid blood clots. It can help avoid pneumonia, things that are prone to happen after surgery. It also begins building your aerobic capacity. And all of these things are going to be very important as we progress you to getting back to full strength and to a new normal, hopefully beyond where you were before. So that's the first step. Now, obviously, walking around doesn't sound like a whole lot of exercise to you right now, but it'll be a very crucial part. Now, beyond just getting up and walking and doing basic aerobic movement, we can also start incorporating lower body weight exercises into this time period. So working on squats, working on lunges, working on step-ups. This is something you can begin incorporating when you feel up to it. So typically in like the second, maybe third week, it's a good idea to just start working on some of this stuff and do it in a place where you have a way to brace against a wall or hold onto a railing or something. You don't want to be falling over. You don't want to be trying to catch yourself with your arms. Again, that's additional force being imposed on the chest that you might not think about. All of these things you have to be very aware of and be very careful with over this time. But as you get more used to what you can and can't do, you can start to train your lower body in a very safe and effective manner and still begin reaping some benefits of regular strength training, even if it is just with your body weight. Now, beyond those things, you can also work on flexibility and stretching. So while I mentioned that there is a limitation on flexing of the torso, twisting of the torso for those first 6 weeks, you can still do quad stretches, hamstring stretches, things with the lower body. And then once those initial weeks have passed, you can begin incorporating some twists and other stretches as well. So all of those are things that you can begin progressing through in these first 3 months. You can add sets, you can add reps, just no weight. That is not something that we want to be messing with. You can also start incorporating ab work after those first 6 weeks. So as you begin to be able to move your trunk in other directions, that's something to utilize as well. Again, we're going to continue moving consistently every single day. And this one is really important. Avoid testing your limits no matter how good you feel. So the first couple weeks, it's probably going to be pretty easy to not test your limits. You're going to be pretty fatigued. You're going to have a number of medications kind of keeping the pain away. And eventually you'll get through that period and you'll start feeling really, really good. But you'll still be within this kind of first 3-month phase where you're not supposed to be doing anything. And I cannot tell you how important it is to just not push that. You're going to feel great. You're going to feel like you can do all these things. You just need to be patient. The risk is not worth the reward. So stick that out, and very, very soon you will be able to start doing all of the things that you enjoy. Now, the final piece of this is month 4 and beyond. So those first 3 months are where we have all of those main limitations, aside from the contact sports that go a little bit further than that. And in month 4, we can begin doing just about everything again. So beginning weight training, beginning lifting. And there's really no issue with just about anything at this point. There's no real limitation that you have to stay on. Just start very light. And I can tell you from my own experience, the first workout that I had back in the gym after my surgery, which was 3 months later, I, of course, had to train my chest, had to hop on the bench press and see what I could do. And I will never forget laying down on the bench and picking up the empty bar and just be shaking on the way down. It was incredible. I had previously, prior to surgery, hit like a 205 max and was by no means super strong at the time, but felt fairly competent on the bench press at least. And so for my first workout back to be just quivering under an empty bar, it was a very humbling experience to say the least. And I believe I worked up to 135 for 2 reps that day. And I'll never forget, I have not been that sore in my entire life after a workout for like the next week. And all of that is to say that with this extended period of time off from your regular training, you're not going to need a lot of stimulus. A little bit of weight and a little bit of exercise in weight-bearing movements like this, and you're going to be pretty much wrecked for the next few days. So take it very easy and steadily. You'll have plenty of time to build this up. Your strength, your size, your athleticism, they'll all come back much more quickly than the first time that you built them. Or if this is your first time really starting this process, then hey, you're going to build up and have those newbie gains just like anybody else did when they first started. So something to pay attention to as you get into this process of weightlifting and training normally again is what areas are still painful. And this is normal, so don't freak out and don't worry like, oh my God, am I never going to be able to do X, Y, or Z again? Eventually, all this pain will dissipate, but some things will take a little bit longer. For me personally, anything that was fully loading my lats in a stretched position was problematic for like 6 to 9 months post-op. I could still do it to some degree, but I really couldn't push it. So this would be like pull-ups at the bottom where you're fully stretched out, or lat pull-downs at the top, again, where you're fully stretched out. I also had issues with heavy pulls, so anything where I was holding a lot of weight in my hands that was pulling on the backside of your body, so your lats and everything that helps kind of engage those stabilizers. So your deadlifts, dumbbell rows, barbell rows, again, I could do them to some degree, but there was some pain involved. I could feel the bars and I could feel the stabilizers on the ribs, but eventually that started to disappear. After 9 to 12 months, I really didn't even notice the bars anymore, and I trained with them for years and years and years. So as you're going through this process, you want to be training for size and strength. You want to be focused on compound movements, getting stronger in your bench, your squat, your deadlift, obviously paying attention to the movements that hurt or that feel good. And if you run into something that does hurt, see how that feels the following week or 2 weeks on. Stop what you're doing today if it's really too intense, and then come back to it a little bit later. So there very much is a guess and check element to this process that I can give you recommendations on, but again, it's going to be a very personalized experience for you. Other recommendations in terms of just general training: perform at least as many pulls as presses in your training. So as much as I know you're going to want to go out and build up your bench press and build up your chest, make sure you're training your back just as hard, if not with even more volume. This is going to help your posture. This is going to help build the foundation with which your chest can eventually grow. It's incredibly important to not neglect the backside of your body, as easy as that is to do. And like I said, you'll reach a point where the bars don't affect you whatsoever. So whether you are interested in bodybuilding, powerlifting, CrossFit, Olympic lifting, there's nothing that you're going to be stopped from doing at a certain point. It's going to take you a little bit of time to get up there, but you will eventually be back to full form without any limitations. So I hope this video was helpful, guys. I do have a couple different programs you can check out on my website. They'll be linked down below. One for the post-nuss procedure, so the Pectus Warriors Nuss program, which is going to walk you through the pre-op as well as the post-op of how to actually do this. And then also programs designed for people not going through surgery. So all of that stuff's going to be linked down below. I appreciate you guys checking this out until the end, and I look forward to chatting with you again very soon.